thank you so much. Yeah, today I want to talk about this website we have been working on called Ruby Events. But first, hi, I'm Marco. If you haven't met, please come say hi after the talk. And as Jan already mentioned, I love open source, and I have been mostly focusing on the Turbo and the Hotwire and the Stimulus ecosystem, which is why I've been mostly working on Stimulus Reflex, and Cable Ready, which we haven't put too much attention on the last few years, but it's still, I think, a really cool ecosystem that we can learn from and bring some of these concepts over to the Hotwire ecosystem. But yeah, today I want to talk about what Ruby Events is, what and why we are doing this, what's next for the platform, and how you can help if you want to have some contribution to open source too. So first up, how did we get here? For me personally, it started with RailsConf 2022 in the US in Portland. I was attending the first international bigger one of these conferences. And as you might know, it's a multi-track conference. And it's quite overwhelming if you attend these multi-track conferences that you want to see what's happening, you want to attend all the awesome talks, but you can't physically, it's impossible. And usually the good thing is that these are recorded, so you can get back home and then watch these recordings at home, which is also what I did here a few months later. Once the videos came out, I checked them out, and I wanted to see some of the talks I couldn't see in person. But then I also remembered that there is so many cool interactions I had at these conferences and so many awesome talks that I wanted to see when the next Ruby conference is happening, which is what I did, and I tried to look it up, and was just typing into DuckDuckGo Ruby conferences, and I found this old-looking website called RubyConferences.org. It has all the information you need. It's a list of conferences that are happening in the world of Ruby. It has a list of the upcoming ones, the past ones. It also lists the call for papers if you want to submit a talk to a conference. And lately, it also got the feature to have meetups on there too. So back then, when I came back from RailsConf, I checked and noticed that RailsConf 23 wasn't on the list. So I got to what I do best, or know best, is I opened a pull request and tried to add this event to the list too. And that year was, for me at least, the one where I kind of noticed that I want to also give talks at these events and also attend a bunch of these events, which is what I did. So I attended a lot of conferences in that year, and I also got to give my first talk at RailsConf in the same year in 2023. So if you cannot tell it by now, I attend a lot of these talks, I attend these events, I love that, and that's what I did the first year. So there was a total of 9 conferences that year. And then didn't stop there. In 2024, I did pretty much the same thing again. With the difference that I gave more talks that year though. So I got to give a lot of more talks that year as well, which added up to a total of 8 conference talks in that year, which is still absurd if I think about it today. But yeah, I love these events, I love these conferences, which is why I'm here today, which is why I'm going to do another talk at the meetup next week, and I just love to interact with the Ruby community. It's one of the gifts, as more dimensions that we have, and that's my way of giving back at least. So I felt like there was this desire to create this Ruby events platform, even if it's just for myself, to kind of keep up to date what's happening. So it's a bit like selfish, if you want to say it, so I can keep up to date, but it's mostly meant to be giving back to the community so other people can see what's happening, so they can hear and see what's going on. I also heard from somebody yesterday that they found this event right here on this same website I maintained. And it's one of the first events they attended in Ruby conference, so I feel that's a big win. So yeah, I kept adding these events as soon as they were announced, just trying to keep up to date as I saw them coming in. And naturally, I had a bunch of ideas, more of what I could improve. And while I was working on improving RubyConferences.org in May of 2023, I was also sharing these ideas with the actual owner and maintainer of the website, John. So we wanted to add an iCal integration, we wanted to add the meetups that are there now, and we wanted to bring a design refresh. So I became a maintainer and actually got to start working on it. And then as soon as I was working on this, a month later, this other website called RubyVideo appeared. And RubyVideo was this idea of indexing all these talks it looks very different here than it looks today, but it was this idea to just aggregate all the Ruby-related videos in one place. And both of these websites kept improving, and as you might see later, the design wasn't updated for this Ruby conferences one because we tried to bring together our efforts. So they both came a long way. Ruby Video got a lot of new features, and its mission, that's what it says, was to index all these Ruby events. But honestly, it became already kind of the Ruby events platform, even though it was called Ruby Video. So that's why we felt the need to rebrand this from saying to indexing Ruby conferences to just Ruby events in general. But now you might ask why we would need such a platform, and I think one of the few reasons we saw the last few years is that the community online at least split apart with all the social media platforms that we have. It doesn't feel like one community anymore, it feels like separate communities we have on each of these platforms. And at least for the events, I felt like we come together for these events in person, so it would be cool to have at least the events part of the Ruby community in one place together. But also, if you look at the events that were happening over the last few years or decades, you can see here in 2015, we had the previous all-time high with around 550 talks at Ruby events or Ruby conferences. And in 2023, we barely matched that from back then, but as you can see in 2024, we are on an uptick and are going up. So there's a lot more events happening, there's a lot of stuff happening in the Ruby community, which is why we want to kind of help promote that and help keep that train going. You can also see from the absolute number of events that are happening, there have been a lot of events in 2023, like 28. Then last year was, I think, an outlier. It was a lot last year, 38. And this year we are around 27 so far again. But you can also see from the meetups that are happening, this is from Irina's keynote earlier this year, that there are so many events, almost 600 events over the last 12 months around the world. And a lot of meetups are coming back, including the San Francisco Ruby meetup, the Belfast Ruby meetup. You can also see the Nepal meetup on the bottom left and the Copenhagen Ruby meetup, which has been going for quite some time too. But at the same time, there has been this other side where we kind of stopped doing conferences as well. And the big one that's noticeable and worth mentioning here is the RailsConf. It has been going for almost 20 years, or over 20 years now, and it's a bit sad to see this one go away. But what this means is that we just want to kind of have this platform so we can, at least the new ones that are coming up, promote those and help the new ones that are coming, help them out to get people and attendance that they are looking for. And if you look at the numbers of people that have been contributing to these repos, you can see that there has been over 260 people, if you combine the two, contributing to these repos, and you can see that there's some need in the community and some level of commitment that we want to have a platform like this. That's why we decided to, as I mentioned earlier, to combine these websites, rubyconferences.org and Ruby Video, into Ruby Events. So Ruby Events, it's this platform to have anything related to Ruby Events, as it says, and that's why we announced this earlier this year. It has a new GitHub organization on /Ruby Events, and one of the things we also started doing is trying to recover old conference talks that have been lost in time. And we have a few successes already. We were able to recover the Euroku video from 2009. They were lost because they were hosted on a platform called blip.tv, and as you might know, blip.tv is not a thing anymore, so they weren't online anymore. And thanks to Fernando, we were able to bring them back and upload them on YouTube again, and they are now indexed on Ruby Events as well. So this is one of the first successes that we have. And another one we have been trying to focus on too is to bring conference recordings from recent events. We have been in contact with the Red Hat Ruby organizers. They had the conference last year in August or July. And the recordings aren't live yet because they didn't really have the means to publish these recordings and edit them. So we've been trying to at least help them going with getting those videos out so they are preserved for the future as well. So on that note, if you have organized an event or a conference in the past and you have recordings that aren't published, that should be there for the community to see. I would love to get in touch with you to be able to archive them on the website too. So we kind of can celebrate what's happened in the past in the Ruby community and what's coming up in the community, so we have a good record of what's happened in the community online. But now to the website itself, Ruby Events is this platform with focus on design as well, where we try to showcase these events with the branding of the events. We want to show the speakers, we want to show the talks, we want to show the recordings, the slides, all that's kind of comes together in a conference. So this specific one we have now here, the Ruby Community Conference. The idea is that we can have a series of conferences. You can see all the editions this conference has. And if you visit one of these pages, you also see all the talks, all the workshops that also weren't recorded, but they are still here and archived and kind of linked to the resources that were available for these people at the workshop. So it's just preserved somewhere. If you get a recording, you can click on it, you can watch it. There are transcripts, there are information about the speaker. You see all the related talks in the same conference on the right-hand side, and you also can open and play it on YouTube if you want, from the button below the video. We also have speaker lists, we have the schedules of the events on there too, and the other nice thing is that we have a search, so you can look up any topic, any keyword, any speaker, or any events, and you will find something here. And recently we also started adding meetup groups to it, so you can see the events of meetup groups, the speakers, the talks and the recordings, if they are available, and otherwise just that's the information and the resources that are attached to it. So I said to myself, I have 4 goals for this platform, and that's what I want to show you as well. So I want to make it just easy to find anything related to Ruby events, kind of in the old fashion of what Ruby conferences did, but also make it look nice, so we can showcase that there's cool stuff happening and it looks good. We also want to support the community in hosting more events around the world, in-person and online ones. But mostly we also want to encourage more people to attend in-person events like this one today, so we get together and can share experiences. That's why I'm also happy to say that there are the recordings from last year's Baltic Ruby on here, and also the ones that are probably coming out from this event are going up here. We also have the talks already indexed, so if you want to just bookmark them for later once the recordings becomes available, you could do that for any future events too. Recently, we also shipped a new view to kind of show countries, so you can look up events by countries. And if you look at the one in Latvia now, we can see there's the Baltic Ruby one from now, and the meetup that is happening like every few months here in Latvia too. And you can look this up obviously for any other country as well. But now I want to focus a little bit more on how Ruby Events is built, and the main idea here is to showcase what's possible with modern Ruby and Rails apps, what you can do with modern Hotwire applications too. And that's why we are trying to stay as close as possible to Rails 8 defaults. We want this to be an open source reference application, so you can see how you would build a modern app like that. So that's why it's built on Ruby 3.4, it's built on Ruby Rails 8. It uses the full Hotwire stack, including Hotwire native. It tries to encourage to use like more of these new modern CSS features too, including like the page view transitions API or the CSS nesting and stuff like that. We're using SQLite with the full text search, so this full search is powered by SQLite to showcase that it's really powerful. We use Solid Queue and Solid Cache to kind of showcase that all these tools are good and you can use them in production. And we also use Tailwind and Daisy UI to make it look good. The whole thing is also deployed with Kamal to a Hetzner server here in Europe. And the good thing about this is that this is all running on a $4 a month VPS. So if you really want, you can really build a lot of awesome things with just this single simple service. Now the other thing is, how do we scale this whole thing? There's the performance aspect for one, but honestly we haven't really done too much performance work because we just have these YAML files, we render out these views, and it's pretty much just as fast as it gets because we don't do anything heavy, so we didn't really have to do much of tweaking here. And yeah, so I grabbed some screenshots from AppSignal that we are using for just the monitoring, which they provide to us for free too, because they are awesome, do also a lot of stuff, awesome stuff for the community, including sponsoring these events. So as you can see here, it's not great. It's around 100 milliseconds on the 90th, or what is it, yeah, 80 milliseconds, around 90 milliseconds. It's not great, but it feels still snappy. If you click around it, it feels good. We also have a few requests. It's not a lot of requests, but for just a website that is archiving talks, as you can see, it's around 2K requests an hour, which is still decent, and it's not a lot, but it's still good, and we can just manage this on this $4 a month VPS. The other question is, what else do we need to scale? And that's, I think the more important part is the heart of Ruby events, which is the data and the content. So what we have is a data directory on the top level of our Rails app, which has subfolders, which are the conference series, so you can see all the events there. And within those, we have subfolders as well for the individual events, and these have videos.yaml files to have all the talks in them. And if you look at one of them, you can see it's a pretty simple YAML file. We have a title, the speaker, the date, and some information about the video itself. Right now, this is put to scheduled, just because we kind of index this before the event happens, and once the recordings becomes available, we can swap this out and say, it's now this video on YouTube, and now you can watch this, and it will show the video on the platform. Now, if we also see that this speaker provides slides, we can add an optional slides URL field there too to say, here are the slides that we embed on the website as well. This is one entry. There are a few entries in this file, and this is all there is. And then we run the Rails DBC command, which we are kind of abusing to index all these, or import all these events into our database, and then we can serve them through the website. So how do we scale this content? For videos and events that we have already recorded, we can use YouTube playlists to kind of bootstrap them using the YouTube API to say, give us all the videos of a playlist, dump it, a YAML file, and then we can kind of index it that way. But obviously it doesn't really scale well for new events or future events where there aren't any recordings yet. For that, we have built something similar for RubyConferences.org, which is these automated pull requests that we do. So we fetch from the events from like iCal, from Meetup and Luma. And what it does is it opens a pull request every day to add all the updates and events from events. So we can just merge these pull requests and then review them and then merge them, and then we know we have the up-to-date data from that day. We need to port this over to have a similar workflow for Ruby events, that we also get all the talks and all the details about speakers and all the talk titles, which we haven't really figured out how to do well at this point. But this might be where you could come in and help us contribute if you have any idea or experience on how you might be able to use even LLMs now to automate some of the automation of that, to open automated pull requests that we can review and then just merge without having to do the work ourselves. There are also other ways to contribute. We have a dedicated page for that on the website. There are a few ways to do that, including adding metadata to speakers, to events, to talks, finding slides, finding GitHub panels for speakers, and more stuff like that. You can find this here on RubyEvents.org/contributions. And now I want to talk about a little bit more about some future ideas that we have for the platform and how we could make this even better. We want to focus on these groups of people that we want to support with the platform, and I want to start with the attendees. So what we want to do here now is also to, if there are official pictures, if there are maybe images shared on social media that we can use using a hashtag to add them to an event page like this, so we kind of get one stream of pictures from the events. So if you want to attend one of these events, you can see how previous editions kind of went and how they look like. We also want to provide more of the schedules for people so you can kind of see what's happening while you are at these events, and that this might be the way forward to use for scheduling and schedules in a platform or app like that. We also want to improve the transcripts, which we don't really have the best ones right now. They are decent, but they're not the best. We want to improve those. A, just to make it more accessible for people, but B, also to make it, like these talks, searchable. And also for a third point, I think even with LLMs now, it really helps to have these transcripts available so you can kind of see what a talk is about. If you want to have or do some research on a specific topic, that you can kind of just tap into the whole index of talks and then see what's actually there. For meetup organizers, we want to help them find speakers for their events. Most of the events that most of the organizers I've spoken to, they are having a hard time finding speakers. So if we can make something happen where we can connect the organizers with speakers, that would be great. But also help them keep the local community engaged so they can put on more events and publish these events and help them publish them recordings if they have them on the platform too. For conference organizers, we want to maybe help run a call for papers, which has the benefit that if we do that these call for papers, these proposals are already on the platform, which means if everything runs to the platform already, we don't have to index the talks, which would kind of help out with indexing these events. But also help them manage the conference through the platform if they want to do some promotion, if they want to make it look nice on the platform, so we can help them. But also to help them find potential sponsors for the events. I think for speakers, it's nice to have a nice index of their talks to see, I guess, a portfolio of what you've been doing, even if it's meetup talks or workshops or stuff like that, which is not a talk typically, but do you have a profile to see or kind of showcase what you have been doing for the community, which I think is a cool thing. And then again, help them find call for papers and maybe connect with meetup organizers so you can give talks at meetups too. And the last group, the sponsors, we want to also showcase all the sponsors that are making an event happen. And I think this gives them some more incentives as well to do it beyond the physical events. So if they sponsor or decide to sponsor events, it also lives on online for as long as this website exists. And it's just a nice way to also showcase that these companies made it happen. The other way around, give these companies profiles to showcase that these companies have supported all these events and to showcase that they have been doing awesome stuff for the community too. And one last aspect that I'm really kind of been focusing on is to also focus on the artwork of these events. Some of these events have awesome artworks, and sometimes you kind of lose them because these websites go offline, the conferences aren't happening anymore, and the events are not, the websites aren't there anymore. So that's why I've been trying to focus and match these brandings of these events into the platform too, so they get the colors, they get the artwork, the logos, they get some banners, and just to make it look like it's the events with the personal touch that they have. There's also something super satisfying about seeing all these long-running events with all these artworks over the years, so I think there's something to that too. So we kind of collect a number of artwork for each event, and most of them I've been doing myself just because it's fun to also get out of work and do code work and do design work, which is a refreshing aspect. And the other thing is, if you can see the top right, bottom right, there's also some stickers. So I've been trying to make it somehow maybe a game. So you can collect stickers and put them on your virtual profile laptop at some point in the future. And the other nice thing here is that some of these stickers are only, the artwork of these stickers are only made for the sticks themselves. They aren't really published like on the website or on the socials or anywhere. So I think it's just a nice touch to also have, like, for example, this RubyConf in the middle there. This article was only published as a sticker. It was never online on the platform or on a website or the social. So it just is like nice Easter egg of having these collectibles there too. And then finally, we have now a Hotwire native app that you can download and install. It's meant to just give you a pretty easy access to the events or the events that are happening. It gives you like the list on the top from the recent events that you have the recording of the talks and the recent talks. We have some other screens for the events, for the speakers and the talks as well. So it's a very early prototype. It's just an MVP, if you will, but you can still download it today. And if you have any feedback, I would love to hear like what you would have to want more from the app, or if you have any other like aspects that annoys you while using it. We also have an Android version coming too, thanks to Leon, who is also here somewhere. So thank you for that. But I want to focus here again, it's all open source. We try to be it as within the race as possible. And also here to be, for the mobile apps, to have some open source Hotwire native apps that you can kind of look at and kind of feel what you can do and achieve with this technology, with this stack of technologies. But I also think it's a really awesome opportunity for early career engineers or engineers in general that are looking to do some open source contributions on a real app that's running out there. So you're more than welcome to check out the codes. You're more than welcome from learning from the codes, but also to help improve the code, because this app is just a hobby, if you will. So it's not the best, but I think it's decent, but you can still improve stuff here and there. So it's available on Ruby Events, the Ruby Events on GitHub, and I'm more than happy to help you get contributing. I'm also this afternoon at the Hack Spaces, so if you want to hack on something Ruby Events related, please come say hi. And with that, I have just some questions at the end. If you have any opinions about that you want to share, please let me know. I would also love to know how you would be using this app if there was a use case for it, or if you have any other use cases that I haven't been mentioning now that we could incorporate here, or if you're missing any features that we might be able to implement. So please get in touch, and that's all I have for today. Thank you.